not follow his ways. He's talking about Samuel's sons. His sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected. They have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly, and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights." Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, "This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen. But the Lord will not answer you in that day." But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and go out before us and fight our battles." When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king." And a couple of chapters later, in chapter 12. "But when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, was moving against you, you said to me, 'No, we want a king to rule over us, even though the Lord your God was your king. Now, here is the king you've chosen, the one you asked for. See, the Lord has set a king over you. If you fear the Lord and serve and obey him and do not rebel against his commands, and if both you and the king who reigns over you follow the Lord your God, good. But if you do not obey the Lord, and if you rebel against his commands, his hand will be against you, as it was against your ancestors." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Like every parent here, I suspect, who's ever survived a child's teen years particularly, there are two words that you probably, certainly I, would love to have eliminated from the English language. Everybody else. As in, everybody else gets to. Yeah. Everybody else has. Everybody else does. So I really appreciated a story that I found somewhere from Betty Ulrich, a Presbyterian from Mesa, Arizona. This story begins with those dreaded E words, everybody else. A boy said to his father, "Dad, most of the kids have a car to drive to school. Can't I have a car?" His dad thought a moment and he said, "Well, before I would get you a car, there are 3 things you'd have to do. First, bring up those grades from C- to B's. Second, study the Bible and learn how to live. And third, you have to cut that hair. The father didn't see much of the son for the next 6 weeks. He stayed busy. Then one day, the boy presented his father with his report card. And lo and behold, it wasn't B's, it was A-. His father was impressed and he said, well, what about the Bible? His son immediately reeled off the 10 Commandments, the Beatitudes, and some of the parables. Even more impressed now, the father said, and what about that hair? And the son said, Dad, I was looking at the pictures in our Bible, and I saw that Jesus himself had long hair, which was pretty sharp. The father was even sharper. He says, that's true, son. The father replied, did you also notice that Jesus walked everywhere he went? But you know, the thing is, it isn't just kids that use those E words for leverage, is it? Anybody ever heard, or maybe said, these phrases? Everyone else's husband gives them flowers on their birthday. Everyone else in the office got a raise, so... Or, moms, how about, all the other little girls look so pretty. Or, none of the other guys' wives go nuts over a beer or two. Or, nobody my age does that. The fact is that we all want to fit in. We all want to be like our peers so that nobody else points out to us as being weird or different. Peer pressure is a fact of life at every stage of our lives. Go down to Pacific View if you don't believe me. It doesn't quit. Most of the things we do to conform and to excel in our peer groups are actually beneficial for ourselves and for society as a whole. Adherence to laws and the rules of common courtesy are one example. Our current situation, where those laws and rules are deteriorating, is a good example of how important it is to conform to some things. Our notions of how one should behave as a parent, or a team player, or a church member, or an American patriot, all reflect our desire to be normal, as that is designed and defined for us in the behavior of others around us. Those are the guides that tell us what our behavior should be, the boundaries of acceptable behavior. And that drive to be like others is the cement of human society. But there are at least two pitfalls in that E word, conformity, for Christians. First of all, doing something just because everyone else does, even if it's not a bad thing in itself, denies the unique and very special individuality with which God has endowed each one of us. It's like trying to paint a Mickey Mouse over top of a priceless Renoir. Or taping an episode of Clueless over an original, never-before-broadcast episode of I Love Lucy. Those unique things, we are each like those wonderful, interesting, unique, special creations. God has called each of us to be God's person in our own, never-to-be-repeated way. And if we fail to live out that calling, history will be the poorer for the lack of our singular contribution. Secondly, E-word conformity is the source of a lot of discontent in our lives, in the lives of others. More often than not, we adults, when we use those E words, when we want to be like everyone else, We really don't want to be like everyone else. We want to be better than everyone else. We want to one-up everybody. It's not keeping up with the Joneses, it's one-upping the Joneses. And it's a vicious cycle that makes everybody dizzy and unbalanced and unhappy. Motives matter. And poor motives generally result in poor results. Just ask the Israelites that are in the story today. 3 chapters after they demanded a king to be like everyone else, they were already sorry. Human nature hasn't changed. Peer pressure was the source of most of the Hebrew nation's problems. And the story even included some of those famous E words. Did you hear them? In chapter 8, they said, "Give us a king to lead us, so we will be like all the other nations." And again, even after he tells them what the price will be if they have a human king, they refused to listen. "No," they said, "we want a king over us, then we will be like all the other nations." To their sorrow, they got a king. And that king was like the kings of all the other nations. Unreliable, greedy, and more concerned about his own welfare than the welfare of the people, instead of the God who had been their king and was concerned for them. So back to us. What is it in your life that you're trying to get or do or be to be like all the other fill in the blanks? How are you striving to be better than everyone else? Be careful. Think about it. Because like the Hebrews, God may give you what you ask for. We don't have to allow E-words to rule or to ruin our lives. Instead, we can turn to the real ruler with a capital R. And by the real meaning of what ruler means, which is to be a yardstick for our Christian lives, a guide that tells us how we are measuring up to God's expectations. Let us ask God for courage and discernment to help us weigh the value of what everyone else does. It may be the right thing. It may not. And then dare to be different, as Jesus did, in that unique and wonderful way the Creator has planned for you and only you. Amen. Our unison affirmation is printed in your bulletin.